Hi there, I'm Dr. Catherine Morgan, and I've spent over 30 years helping men reclaim their strength and vitality. What I'm about to share with you might surprise you, but here's something that shocked me early in my career. 8 out of 10 men over 60 walk out of their doctor's office with their most important health concerns completely overlooked. You see, I learned this the hard way through a patient who changed everything about how I practice medicine. Let me tell you about Mr. Thompson. A story that still gives me chills when I think about how close we came to missing what was really going on with him. It was a rainy Thursday morning when Robert Thompson first walked into my office. He was 63, a retired electrician with calloused hands and tired eyes that told a story I'd seen too many times before. His wife had practically dragged him in, and honestly, he looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Doc," he said, settling heavily into the chair across from my desk. "My wife thinks something's wrong with me, but I keep telling her. I'm just getting older. This is what happens, right?" I could see the frustration in his face, mixed with something else. Fear, maybe? He went on to tell me how his regular doctor had run some basic tests 6 months earlier. Everything came back normal for his age, and he was told to exercise more and eat less. Classic advice, but Robert felt worse than ever. "I wake up every morning feeling like I got hit by a truck," he explained, rubbing his temples. "I used to jump out of bed at 5 a.m. ready to tackle anything. Now, I drag myself up at 8 and still feel exhausted. My wife says I'm grumpy all the time, and honestly, she's right. Little things set me off, things that never bothered me before." As he talked, I noticed other things. The way he shifted uncomfortably in his chair, how he seemed to have trouble concentrating on our conversation, the slight tremor in his hands when he reached for his water glass. These weren't just signs of normal aging. They were his body's way of sending out distress signals that everyone had been missing. Robert continued his story, and with each detail, I became more concerned. "The worst part, Doc, is that I don't feel like myself anymore. You know what I mean? I used to be the guy everyone came to for help. I could work 12-hour days and still have energy to play with my grandkids. Now I can barely make it through a simple home repair project without needing a nap." His voice dropped to almost a whisper. "And between you and me, things with my wife, well, let's just say that part of our relationship has pretty much disappeared. She's understanding about it, but I can see the disappointment in her eyes. It's killing me inside." This is where most doctors would have started talking about lifestyle changes or maybe prescribed something for depression. But something Robert said made my ears perk up. He mentioned that he'd been having trouble sleeping, not just feeling tired. He'd wake up multiple times during the night, drenched in sweat, with his heart racing for no apparent reason. "Tell me about these night sweats," I asked, leaning forward. "When did they start?" "Oh, maybe 2 years ago. I figured it was just my body's thermostat going haywire. You know, like how women go through their change of life? I just assumed men had something similar." Bingo. Right there, Robert had stumbled onto something his previous doctors had completely overlooked. But before I get into what we discovered, let me share what happened during our next few visits, because this is where the real detective work began. 2 weeks later, Robert came back for his follow-up appointment. I'd asked him to keep a detailed journal of how he felt each day, his energy levels, his mood, his sleep patterns, even his appetite. What he brought back was eye-opening. "Doc, writing everything down made me realize just how bad things have gotten," he said, flipping through pages of notes. "Look at this. I marked my energy level each day on a scale of 1 to 10. I haven't had a single day above a 4 in the past 2 weeks. Not one." But it wasn't just the low energy that caught my attention. Robert had noticed patterns. His worst days seemed to cluster together, followed by days where he felt slightly more human. His appetite had changed too. He craved salty, fatty foods more than ever before, but nothing really tasted good to him anymore. "And here's something weird," he said, pointing to a particular entry. "Last Tuesday, I was working in the garage, just organizing some tools, nothing strenuous. But after about 30 minutes, I got so dizzy I had to sit down. My hands were shaking, and I felt like I might pass out." As I listened to Robert describe these episodes, I started connecting dots that painted a very clear picture. His body was essentially running on empty, desperately trying to keep all its systems functioning without the fuel it needed. Imagine trying to run a car when you're almost out of gas. It might keep going for a while, but eventually it's going to start sputtering and breaking down. "Robert," I said gently, "I think your body has been trying to tell you something important, and we need to listen. What you're experiencing isn't just normal aging. It's your body's way of saying that something crucial is running low." I explained to him that his symptoms, the fatigue, the mood changes, the night sweats, the decreased interest in intimacy, even the dizziness, they were all connected. His body's natural hormone production was declining much faster than it should, leaving him feeling like a shadow of his former self. "Think of it like this," I told him, using an analogy I knew he'd understand from his electrical work. "Your body is like a complex electrical system. When the main power source starts to fade, everything else begins to malfunction. The lights dim, the motors run slower, and eventually, whole circuits start to shut down." Robert's eyes lit up with understanding. "So you're saying there's actually something wrong? It's not just me getting old and lazy?" "Exactly. And more importantly, it's something we can fix." Over the next few months, I worked with Robert to address his declining hormone levels through targeted dietary changes. Now, I'm not talking about some complicated, impossible-to-follow meal plan. Instead, we focused on specific foods that naturally support his body's ability to produce the hormones he needed. The first thing we did was add more healthy fats to his diet. I'm talking about things like avocados, nuts, olive oil, and fatty fish, like salmon. These foods are like premium fuel for hormone production. They give your body the building blocks it needs to create the chemical messengers that keep you feeling strong and energetic. Think of these fats as the raw materials your body uses to build hormones, I explained to Robert. It's like trying to build a house without enough bricks. You're not going to get very far. We also added foods rich in zinc, like pumpkin seeds and grass-fed beef. Zinc is incredibly important for hormone production, especially for men. Robert started sprinkling pumpkin seeds on his morning oatmeal and having a small portion of quality beef 3 times a week. But here's where it gets really interesting. We also focused on foods that help reduce inflammation in his body. Chronic inflammation is like having a small fire burning inside you all the time. It exhausts your system and interferes with hormone production. So we added plenty of colorful vegetables, especially leafy greens, and foods like turmeric and ginger. Robert was skeptical at first. "Doc, you really think changing what I eat is going to make me feel like my old self again?" "Give me 3 months," I told him. "If you don't notice a significant difference in how you feel, we'll explore other options." 3 weeks into his new eating plan, Robert called my office. "Dr. Morgan," he said, and I could hear the excitement in his voice. "I slept through the night last night, the whole night. I can't remember the last time that happened." By the 6-week mark, the changes were dramatic. Robert walked into my office with a spring in his step I hadn't seen before. His skin looked healthier, his eyes were brighter, and he was smiling. Really smiling. For the first time since I'd met him. "I feel like I'm getting my life back," he told me. "Yesterday I worked in the yard for 3 hours straight and actually enjoyed it. And Doc..." He paused, looking a little embarrassed. "Things with my wife are... well, let's just say she's very happy with the changes too. The most remarkable part was how these dietary changes worked. You see, when you give your body the right nutrients, it's like providing a master craftsman with quality tools and materials. Your body knows exactly what to do with them. It just needs the resources to do its job. The healthy fats Robert was eating gave his body the cholesterol it needed to make hormones. Yes, you heard that right. Cholesterol isn't always the enemy. Your body actually needs it to create the hormones that keep you feeling vital and strong. The zinc helped activate the enzymes involved in hormone production, while the anti-inflammatory foods created an environment where his body could function optimally. By the 3-month mark, Robert felt like a new man. His energy levels were consistently high, his mood had stabilized, and he was sleeping better than he had in years. But more importantly, he felt like himself again, confident, capable, and ready to take on whatever life threw his way. "You know what the best part is, Doc?" Robert said during our final follow-up appointment. "My wife told me yesterday that she feels like she has her husband back. That means everything to me." Looking back on Robert's case, I'm reminded why I do this work. Too many men suffer in silence, thinking that feeling exhausted, moody, and disconnected is just part of getting older. They accept a diminished version of themselves when they don't have to. Your body is incredibly wise, and it's constantly communicating with you. Those symptoms you might be brushing off as normal aging, the fatigue, the mood swings, the changes in your relationship with your partner, they're not just inconveniences to endure. They're your body's way of asking for help. The beautiful thing is that our bodies are designed to heal and regenerate when we give them what they need. It's never too late to start feeling better, to reclaim your energy, and to show up as the strong, vital man you're meant to be. You deserve to wake up each morning feeling excited about the day ahead, not dragging yourself through life on empty. Take care of yourself. Dr. Catherine Morgan Menz, Vitality Specialist.